Did you know that between the 13th and 16th centuries, there existed an empire so wealthy it practically glowed, an empire with its fingers on the pulse of the entire planet? From the Atlantic coast of Senegal all the way to the Indian Ocean in the east, this empire traded, communicated, and dominated. And yet most people today have never heard of it. It's time we set the record straight. This is the Mali Empire, and its story is one worth telling. The Mali Empire, also known as the Kingdom of Mali or the Empire of Mansa, was a vast and wealthy state located in West Africa. At its peak, the Mali Empire stretched from the Atlantic Ocean in the north to the Indian Ocean in the south, encompassing much of present-day Mali, Senegal, Gambia, Guinea, Niger, Burkina Faso, and Ivory Coast. But what made the Mali Empire so rich? Well, it was thanks to its control of the gold and salt trade. Gold was a highly prized commodity in medieval Europe and the Middle East, and the Malians had access to some of the world's richest gold mines. They also controlled the trade routes that connected these mines to the rest of the world. Salt, on the other hand, was a vital resource for preserving food, and the Malians had vast deposits of salt in their territory. The empire's wealth from these trades grew so rapidly that at one point Mansa Musa, the most famous king of Mali, reportedly had more gold than he knew what to do with. He famously dumped gold into the ocean because he didn't want it to lose its value. But gold wasn't the only thing they had plenty of. The Mali Empire boasted some of the largest universities of the time, such as the University of Sankara, which was renowned for its scholarship on mathematics, astronomy, medicine, and theology. Timbuktu, another important city in the empire, was a major center of Islamic learning and culture. In fact, it was considered one of the most important cities in the Islamic world at the time. Other centers of knowledge included the city of Gao, which was known for its madrasas, or religious schools, and the city of Jetlen, which had one of the largest libraries in the empire. The Malians weren't just book-smart either. They were also skilled engineers and architects, many of which are still standing today. One of the most famous examples is the Jingerbur Mosque, which is considered the largest mud brick structure in the world. The Malians also developed advanced irrigation systems to water their crops and sustain their growing population. Now, you might be wondering how a kingdom in Africa was able to build such impressive structures without any contact with the outside world. Well, the answer is they weren't as isolated as you might think. In fact, the Mali Empire had extensive trade networks that stretched all the way to Asia and Europe. The Malians traded gold and salt for luxury goods such as silk, porcelain, and spices. They also had diplomatic missions in many parts of the world, including the courts of the caliphs in Cairo and the sultans in Delhi. Despite their wealth and sophistication, the Mali Empire was largely unknown to the rest of the world. This is partly because they didn't have a written language of their own. They used a system of oral tradition to pass down their history and knowledge, which made it difficult for outsiders to understand their culture. Additionally, the Malians were mostly animists and did not produce much in the way of written records. As a result, most of what we know about them comes from the accounts of European and Arab travelers who visited the empire. Unfortunately, many of these accounts were distorted by the biases of the authors, who often viewed the Malians through the lens of their own cultures.